Hi everyone, this is Don. I'd like to welcome you to the Import tool demonstration video. In this video, I'm going to be going over the process of adding products to your website using the Import tool, as well as checking on the status of product information in the STN database. Let's get started. First of all, I should let you know that I'll be using this demo site, which we use for training, everything else. So to kind of go over this process, and we're basically talking about the product information or the products that you can offer on your site. Now, it should also this is not a method and make the quality of your product information higher. So let's to the back of the end of the website where the administration tools are, and we're going to go straight to the STN Import tool. Now, the STN Import tool basically lists out all of the products in our database. So these products are not yet on your site. Well, some of them may be, and that'll be flagged with an import, and I'll show you that in a bit. But using the STN Import tool, you can find your product that you're trying to add to your website, one that you already have in your store, or one that's coming soon, that's in your point of sale system, any of those things. To help find those products, what we have on the Import tool are these filter boxes up here, where you can search for a SKU, you can search for a product name, or a brand, filter by brand name, and just to filter in categories. So again, these are searches, but they kind of work as filters. For example, let's look at HABA products. Okay, so what I just did is I filtered the Import tool to display only HABA products, and you'll see that some of these products were just added on May 7th of 2014, or were updated. Now, with just HABA products, you could search for a specific SKU. For example, let's search for 7440. Now, this SKU is basically what the manufacturer's SKU number is for like reordering or their SKU number. Then what we do is we typically put a 4-character code, sometimes 2 or 3, but mostly 4-character code in front of their SKU. So for example, this is S7440, so the SKU is probably this here for the manufacturer, and HABA is our 4-character code for this vendor, HABA. That lets us know the product and everything else within our database and within our file structure. Again, sorry, hope it's not confusing, but it does let you be able to search for a specific SKU from a manufacturer. You could also search within or filter within the name. So for example, let's go for sand. And what this will do is this will basically filter out and display only products with the name sand in them. You notice they're mostly all of the sand toys. So again, this just basically works as filtering. You could also type in the UPC or scan in the UPC. If you do have a scanner connected to your computer, you can just click in here and then take the product that you have in your store and scan the UPC code, and it will populate it with the UPC here and search for that product, whether it's UPC or ISBN or EAN. It'll like search and find that product. So once you had found your product, then all you do is click on the Import tool. But before I do that next step, I want to go over these other tabs up here, which is the vendor status and the import mapping. Let's go to vendor status tab. On the vendor status tab, what this portion or section of the import tool is, this is for you to see what the status is on product information. I'm going to jump back to the STN products tab one more time, and you'll see that here in the date added, this is typically the date that the product was added to our database. So you can see whether it's new or not, and you can filter or order by date added. But back here is a bit more information. So since we're looking at HABA, let's go ahead and type in HABA again in search vendors. And you'll see that here's HABA, the vendor HABA. Now you'll see that they are uploaded and they're the type manufacturer, because in the back end here we do have, in the vendor status, we have other vendors besides manufacturers. We have service providers or rep groups. So again, this will help you find other things. And the date that the last known date that the product data was uploaded. So it was last uploaded 5/08/2014. That's when the status was changed. You'll also see that there's a notes field here, which again, these are all searchable or filterable. So you can search for a vendor here, but then you can also search for like something within the notes. So that can be handy when you're trying to drill down to somebody specific or just looking for information specific. Now, there's also these 3 buttons to each one of these vendors. Hitting the info button basically displays their contact information. Also, it displays our notes system. So like whenever we do something for a vendor, as far as with the product information, we make a note. A note gets added to the system. So that way we know where we are, what was done last, and who it was done by. These are, of course, our initials here in the office. So, we have a few people working on product data, so it's an ongoing thing. And you'll see that the last time Joe here, this was Joe's initials, was 5/8/2014. It said new data and images uploaded. On 5/6/2014, he started processing the new data from Ashley, which is I know Ashley, so she's an employee from HABA. So she's the one that provided us with the information. And you'll see that, before that, here in 2013, there were notes calling for Ashley, emailed Ashley. Again, you'll see basically our history of us trying to get the product information, getting the product information, updating the product information, as well as some manufacturers that won't give us the product information. Now from this pop-up window here for the info, you can request an update. And this basically launches an update window, which I'm going to close just to show you where that is too. So from here, there's also the flag or the update. And that pops up another window. And what this does is it flags, like for example, let's say there's missing images from HABA and you want us to know that. Anytime that you see something wrong with the data, you can notify us or let us know, and then we can work at correcting it. With over I don't know how many hundreds of vendors that we have in our database, as well as hundreds of thousands of products in our database, it's hard to see everything, and sometimes what we get from a manufacturer may not be that good of quality or may have a problem or an issue. And so this allows you to let us know so that we can fix those issues. We do our proofing in that, but the more eyes on it and the more feedback we get, the better the product data will be. Also, by flagging this information on a specific manufacturer or vendor, that lets us know, and it also raises their value to us, meaning that when it comes time to update that product information, they've got a higher ranking because we have the retailers, have flagged that these are important vendors. So we're going to go after those immediately before all the other vendors, which are maybe not, we don't see much traffic on, or we don't see many of our retailers selling them online. So we're always going to try to focus our energy and efforts on the higher ranked vendors that our retailers stock and sell their products. So that's the flag little button. Then there's this one here, which is the email request product information. So you'll come across some vendors in here, I'm sure, that you're searching through to look for the status, and they've never been added, but you want them because they're important to you. Well, the way to let us know, of course, is to do the flagging, but the next step would be to email the manufacturer or vendor directly. And this launches an email, started email with directions on what to do. So basically you can replace this information here, and that will then your personal message to the manufacturer to say, hey, I really want this product information for my website, please, contact, communicate with Specialty Toys Network. And we leave this little bit of information in here so that they can then follow up with us. Also, it sends a copy to our support for the SToysNet Partner Program, so that way we can also follow up with them on your behalf. By doing that, that gives us more clout, more, I guess it better represents us to be able to communicate with the manufacturer on your behalf, and they'll be more willing to comply or provide us with the product information. Some manufacturers only give that information out to retailers, and since we're not a retailer, we're a service provider. They can be hesitant to give it to us unless we have a retailer, we have a mutual client, you, that we're getting the information for. Go ahead and close that guy. The next tab is the import mapping. And by default, when you get a site from Specialty Toys Network, you'll have what we call the standard categories set up on your site, and they'll be mapped to the standard categories that we have in our database. Now, you could remove all of the categories and create new ones, and they would not, have the same name or identification matchup. This allows you to take a category in our product database and match it to a category on your website. You'll see that here it's assigned to Active Play, but you could also say you might have another throw and catch that would be on Active Play products would go there, or outdoor toys, all these different ones. So you could select multiple categories that when you import a product, they will get mapped to that category if it's coming from this category. You do have the option to also, reassign, which I'll show you in a bit. The same goes, you can map manufacturers. So say in our vendor list, these are all the vendors in the STN database. You can say that, a Berry Balanced Belly vendor, you don't have one in here, but you can say, no, this goes to, I like the name Balanced Belly Bear. That's really the one that everybody searches for online, so I want to have my vendor name that on my website. And so you can map it so that whenever you bring a product in from a Berry Balanced Bear, it could go to another vendor that's already on your shopping cart. And this will make a little bit more sense as we bring in a product. So let's go ahead and hit cancel here. Okay. And now we're back to the Import Products tab. I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and just do the very first one. We're going to say that this is the product that we have. We searched it, we found it, we want it. It should be on our website. So all you do is hit the Import Tool button, and you'll get a pop-up here that says you currently don't carry any Intex Syndicate products. Do you want to add Intex Syndicate product as a new manufacturer, or do you want to sign this guy? So again, even though there's the import mapping here, you can do some import mapping as you bring in products and then update it. It's just that if you need to change mappings, you can do that later. I'm going to go ahead and say add Intex Syndicate as a new manufacturer or vendor, and then hit continue. Now we got another pop-up, which is all the product information. Now this product information is now being copied to my website, so whatever changes I make, they're going to reflect across my website. So now I can make changes, like for example, I could change the meta description, I could change the full description, I could add more images or remove images, all that. But if you notice, all this information now that's going to be added to my website comes across, and by default I have gift wrapping set up. I can then change, make the price be the price that I want to sell it for. Now there may be map pricing involved, so you need to be aware of that with the vendors. We don't do any policing on mapping, but it's definitely it does get policed. So follow the rules. At this time, you can also assign discounts if you want to. You can assign it to other categories if you want to. And as well as you can do other things, like for example the features. They didn't provide us with some elements. Oh, they did. We have ages appropriate, and it's both appropriate for gender, both boy and girl. There are no fundamentals chosen, but there is the safety hazards, is all that. So again, all this information was brought over by the import tool. The image will be brought over. There were no videos but if there were videos for this product, they'd be brought over as well. And so all you have to do is possibly change the SKU to be the appropriate SKU for you that's maybe going to match your point of sale system. So if you have a point of sale system and you're doing imports or using one of the many web services to keep your website synced up with your point of sale, at this time you would change the SKU to be that number or that ID that's going to be used for matching up products from point of sale system to website. Since I'm not dealing with that right now, I'm going to leave that, but you'll see the manufacturer's added. This is the import SKU. Might want to add how much your starting stock is. So I'm going to say I have 12 of them, and that price is fine, and it's published. And then all I do is hit the import button. Now, if I go to the front of my site, and I'm going to say name that, I'm going to look for this one. It's called, the product name is Name That. And I do, let me just refresh, okay. And I type in name. See there, it's already starting to populate. It's already on my site. And if I hit go, search for it, you'll see it's right there at the top of my search results. Name That, person, place, thing. Click on it, and the product is added to my site. With the description, everything else, and the price, and bam. It was that fast and that easy to add a product to the site. Again, you'll also see now that you can't re-import it because it's already been imported. So this lets you know if a product's imported or not. That pretty much covers the STN Import tool. Now, if there are products or vendors that you don't see in our import tool as a retailer, please contact us. That can be done either through our website or through the partner website, or just by sending us an email. Again, thanks for taking the time to watch this video.